Hi everybody, happy Monday. I am recording this on Thursday, so if anything crazy happens on Friday that I don't address, I'll address it via email. So I want to start off, as always, with our COVID update. This week, as of right now, Thursday afternoon, just about the end of the day, we have had 0 new positive cases, and we have had 2 new additional quarantines. So that's a pretty good week for us this week. I'm pretty impressed with that. So again, kudos to all of you for doing a great job of staying socially distant. Remind the kids to wear masks, to wash their hands. Speaking of washing hands, Andy Mims, our head custodial person, wanted me to remind you guys not to use the wipes in the bucket to wipe your hands. It's very, very strong chemical in there, and you would start getting rashes and skin issues from the harsh chemicals that are in those wipes. We also have to conserve the wipes as much as we can because they are very expensive and sometimes hard to get. So we want to make sure that you know that one wipe can wipe all your desks between classes. There's enough chemicals in there for one wipe to do your whole room with all the desks. So just make sure that you're not just using one wipe per desk and then throwing a really good wipe with lots of chemicals away. So keep that in mind. Also, I wanted to mention again in homeroom, if you would talk to the kids about going to the clinic versus staying home. If what we're having is a problem sometimes with kids coming to school, knowing they don't feel well, but like last year, if they might have had a stuffy nose, whatever, their parents tell them, hey, just, work through it, just be tough, whatever, you can make it. Well, now what happens is if they come to school and they have a stuffy nose, sinus problems, headaches, sore throats, anything like that, as you know, if they do go to the clinic and complain, if it happens to be a symptom of COVID, then we have to send them home for 10 days. And the only way they can come back is they have to A, go get a COVID test that comes back negative and bring that proof to us, or B, they have to go see a doctor and get a doctor's statement saying that this is not COVID related and that they are clear to come back to school. So that's pretty much a burden on a lot of our families to try to make a doctor's appointment and to try to get to the doctor to get that note. So please, please, please just make sure the kids understand if they wake up and they do not feel well, stay home. It would be much better for them just to stay home and miss 1 day than for them to go to the nurse and have to miss 10 days. So just please remind them of that. That's really it for right now on COVID. I want to move on to grading. And I want to talk to you just a little bit as we get close to the end of the 9 weeks and as we gave out progress reports last week. We've been getting, of course, the parent phone calls about the grading and the kids that are not doing well in certain classes. So I just want to make sure one more time, and I went over this in the beginning of the year in our pre-planning chats, but I want to make sure that I'm very, very clear and everyone understands about the weighted grading. So 70% category, I know some of you have that labeled as tests and quizzes, but as I stated before, it's not just tests and quizzes. It is anything at all that is standard based that you are checking for accuracy. It could be a bell ringer. It could be a homework assignment that you actually collect and grade, because the best way to go about homework assignment is they don't know when they're going to be graded and when they're not going to be graded. And it's just randomly when you decide to grade it for accuracy versus when you decide to grade it for completion. So if it's something that you're just having them do, they're grading it for completion or they're self-grading it, then that could go in the 30% category. But if it's something that you're grading for accuracy and you're giving them a score based on accuracy, then I would put it in the 70% category. Anything that you're grading for accuracy should be in the 70% category. It does not have to just be a test and quiz. So your category name, you might want to change it to something like accuracy-based assignments, tests, and quizzes. And then the 30%, you might just say completion grade for activities. And then that way, it makes it a lot easier. What we're finding is, and this is a lot of teachers are in this situation, and I don't know if it's due to, you know, the hurricane or, you know, I know we take a couple weeks to get started sometimes with tests and things like that, and things that you're grading for accuracy. But the bottom line is you really should have about 1 grade per week, at least in the 70% category. What's happening now is there are kids that maybe only have 1 or 2 grades in the 70% category, and so they do poorly on one thing, and they're all of a sudden having an F. And these are kids that typically have had straight A's their whole life. So needless to say, their parents are going through the roof, you know, about it. So we're talking them down off the ledge, but I just want to make sure that you understand that you can go back now and change the weight of different assignments that you have in the gradebook. Things that maybe you previously had as 30%, you can change to 70%. And that might help boost some of these kids' averages more to where they need to be. So I wanted to explain that. Another thing that I needed to mention that I just remembered that I left out, so I hate to go back to the COVID update, but I'm going to go back very quickly. Cheryl Thompson put some papers in your box. They are visitor sign-in sheets. What these are for, they are for you to, and I'm going to send out an email today just so that you know why they're there, but they are for if any of the itinerants happen to walk in to your classroom, or you have a visitor of some sort. Maybe once we get our resource teacher, maybe it's a resource teacher who's pushing in to your class to help our ESE students. Maybe it's Miss Youngma who's helping with some behaviors in there. Maybe it is somebody like me who's coming in there for an observation. If that's the case, then everyone needs to sign in on that sign-in log, because whenever they do the contact tracing, if they go back, they'll go back to the first 3 days before you had symptoms. So like in this certain person that I know's case, not at this school, but an administrator somewhere else, this person started showing symptoms on Friday. He felt like he had a sinus infection or was getting, a cold, got a fever Friday night, tested on Saturday. He was positive, so now he's quarantined, but when the tracer came, they made him go all the way back to the previous Wednesday. So this is on Monday. He's having to remember where all he went Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, where he might have been for more than 15 minutes. So it's very helpful to have those sign-in sheets so that you can help jar somebody's memory. If that's the case. Kind of the same thing during your department meetings, your grade level meetings, MTSS meetings. Keep a journal and just keep notes of who you sat by, because when it comes down to it and they start tracing, I know I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. I know it's going to be really hard for me to remember 5 days ago everyone I came in contact with. So that's just food for thought. And that's what those logs are for, and I'll be sending out an email today about that. Sorry, that just popped into my mind and just was totally unrelated to grades. So I'm back on track with grades now. My next thing I want to talk to you about is waiting until the last minute to put in your grades. School board policy states school grades should be entered within 5 days. So if you give a test, you have 5 school days to get it in. So basically a week to get the test grade in. What we're kind of seeing is we have kids that have 0, grades or very few grades. And then right before progress reports or right before report cards come out, all of a sudden 8 grades go in. Well, this makes it very difficult for lots of reasons. A, by the time the parent sees that the child is struggling, it's too late. It's too late to do anything about it. They already have their 9 weeks grade. The other thing is if somebody decides to go online or someone withdraws to move somewhere else, we have to give what their grade is at that moment in time. And if you're sitting on 9 grades that haven't been entered, then that student's grade that we're putting on his withdrawal form and he's taken off to Hawaii or wherever, it's not going to be accurate at all. So if you do what school board policy says you need to do, which you need to do, which is making sure within 5 days those grades are in there, then the most that would happen is that child might be a week behind on his grades whenever he withdrew, and it would not be horrible. Probably wouldn't be a huge difference in the grade. But just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page with that. we're going to be really going in and checking gradebook quite often, and addressing it with people that are having trouble doing this, because that's just a professional expectation that you need to do. And it's very important to our kids and our parents and to our MTSS committee and to parent conferences and everything else that we do. Title update. All right, so we got some kind of alarming news, and that is that in the October FTE, we were at 50-some% of free and reduced lunch, which means we would not qualify for title next year. Thankfully, that is not the FTE count they use. They use the FTE count in February. So normally we have between 74 and 76% on free and reduced lunch. We need to get these kids to sign up for free and reduced lunch. I think some of them have not signed up because they're online. So if you are an online teacher, if you would please make sure for the next few days that you reiterate to those kids that they need to apply, because some of them are eligible and don't even know it. Any day we could go back onto online school, everybody. And if that were to happen, make sure those kids know that every device that we loan out can only be to students who are on free and reduced lunch. So if you tell, and this is brick and mortar teachers and online, tell your homerooms, tell your classes, look, everybody, apply for it, because you don't know if you're eligible or not. But if you're eligible, it'll save you a lot of money when we do have to go back to paying for lunches again, because that is going to happen. This is not a permanent situation with everybody getting a free lunch right now. So please remind the kids of that. Remind them that's the only way that they can get a device. And that in no way, shape, or form does it get sent to anyone in the government, or it has nothing to do with being here illegally or anything like that. Nothing like that is tracked, traced, or anything. It's just simply based on income, household income, and if you can have that subsidized by having free or reduced lunch. So please, please, please make sure that you do that, because that to our school is equivalent to 3 teachers, 1 classroom assistant, and, almost $100,000 in additional supplies and programs and technology that we would not be able to have if we don't remain title. So it's a very scary thought. So please make sure that in all your classes that you're just mentioning it to them. They can go right to the school district's webpage. They can come to our guidance office, and we have a flyer. We're having a flyer that we're sending home to everybody. It'll be going home in their backpacks next week. It has a barcode on there that they can just scan, a QR code that they can scan with their phones, and it'll take them directly to the application. So if somebody doesn't get a copy of that, or they need an extra copy of that, they can always come to the guidance office. We will help them register for free and reduced lunch if they need to. If they are Spanish speakers, Miss Gamboa can help them. But you guys, we have to get our percentage back up to where it needs to be. So it's going to take a village to do that. So please help us with that. All right, next item, construction. We are going to be starting construction on our safety here next week. By the first week of November, so either next week or the following week. So I just wanted to kind of tell you a little bit about that. The front office, they're going to be moving Corinne's area, extending it a little bit, making it more of a right angle. They're going to be enclosing her behind bulletproof glass. And I know I talked to you a little bit about this last time. All of the classrooms facing the racetrack road are going to have a bulletproof film put on them. And they're also doing the same thing for guidance. So guidance is going to have its own entrance as well. But this construction is going to be starting here pretty soon. One of the things that is going to be included, I don't think I talked about, is phase 2 of that. When they finish phase 1, they're going to start on phase 2, which is the gates. And they're going to make all of our gates 8 feet tall. Your cars are not going to be locked into the parking lot anymore. You're going to be able to come and go as you please. You're going to have a little swipe that's going to open the gates, but the gates are going to be more like around the perimeter of our school, like up by the gym area and by the walkways, and you can just swipe to get in. So you can get in at any point in time without having to move these big gates, without these padlocks, without all that stuff. So it's going to be so nice, and I'm so excited about it. It is going to make a little bit of, you know, the front office is going to be a little unorganized and messy for a bit, and so is guidance, but it shouldn't take too long. Maybe just a couple weeks, I'm hoping. This week is Halloween. So Friday is going to be our Halloween here, in which kids can wear costumes. We talked about that. Masks has been an issue, which makes it really different this year because normally we don't allow any kind of face coverings, but we're asking everyone to wear face coverings. So definitely they can wear masks that, you know, cover the half of their face. What we don't want is kids having on a full mask, like a, you know, full mask where you can't even tell who the person is, because then if that person did something wrong on camera or anything like that, we wouldn't be able to identify who that person was. So as long as they're just covering half their face, they can wear any type of mask, as long as it doesn't cover their whole head and their whole face. If you're going to do any kind of activities, please make sure that if you're going to do anything that deals with Halloween at all, make sure once again it's standards based. We don't have any time to waste this year between the hurricane and COVID and everything else. Every minute counts. So if you're going to do something Halloween related, that's fine. Just make sure somehow you can tie it to your standards. Also, parent-teacher compacts. If you can please make sure that you're getting those in, go ahead and turn in what you have. But keep a checklist of all the kids that have turned it in so that you can start calling and emailing parents of kids that have not turned their parent-teacher student compact in. We have to have one of those on file for every student so that whenever they come in for a parent conference, we can check off the things that we addressed, and everybody can sign that compact when they come in for parent-teacher conferences as part of our title compliance. So please make sure that you do take care of that. That is about it for me for this week. Don't forget to get those Ippy Dippies done. They are done. I mean, they are due on the 31st, but we'll just, because that falls on a holiday, it'll be due that following Monday, November 2nd. We're busy working on the master schedule to get everything aligned there. We have Miss Mahangos is coming back full-time. Miss Randall is going to be back for part-time, couple periods a day. That's going to relieve some of the stress on some of those bigger classes in social studies, in math, and in ELA. In social studies, we're opening up some new social studies sections. We're moving those to Miss Davis. We're moving the ELA down to a new English teacher. So it's going to open up, really in most areas, it's going to open up some flexibility so that you can have a little bit of smaller classes and you can spread out a little bit more. So I hope that makes everybody as happy as it makes me. We're happy to get those teachers back and back on campus. Excited to see them. Excited to see the 45 kids that are coming back to us from online. Remember, some of those just did not do well online. A lot of them are ESE kids, are ELL kids. So they might be bringing in a bad grade for that first 9 weeks. So do whatever you can to try to help them catch up so that they can, you know, do okay for the semester. But we're excited to see them and we're excited to have them back. So hope you guys have a great week, and I'll be seeing you around campus.